Top 9 female dark psychology facts. You stand at the precipice of understanding, poised to decode the most potent, unseen forces that dictate interaction and influence. Overlook these crucial insights, and you concede a massive strategic disadvantage in every relationship, every negotiation. This is not about malice, it is about absolute awareness. You won't want to miss the final fact, or 99% will remain stuck in this dynamic for life. You must grasp the fundamental, often concealed truth that emotional intelligence in the wrong hands is not a shield, but a weapon. It begins subtly with the expert deployment of vulnerability. Consider the strategic tear, the calculated admission of weakness, not born from genuine fragility, but from a masterful understanding of human empathy. This isn't genuine emotional release. It's a meticulously crafted performance designed to disarm, to invoke a protective instinct, and to establish an immediate, often irreversible, position of moral high ground. You are drawn into a dynamic where your strength becomes her perceived weakness, instantly shifting the power balance. This initial maneuver is critical. It creates an illusion of needing protection, while simultaneously giving her the complete ability to manipulate your actions through a manufactured sense of obligation. Then comes the art of triangulation. You will find yourself measured against phantom rivals, subtle comparisons made, or stories of past admirers meticulously woven into conversation. This isn't about jealousy, it's about instilling a pervasive sense of competition, activating your primal drive to prove worth, ensuring your constant pursuit and validation. You are not just being compared, you are being strategically positioned to chase a standard that is constantly shifting, designed to keep you perpetually off balance, eternally striving for an approval that is never fully granted. This creates an enormous psychological burden, consuming your mental energy, diverting you from your own objectives, compelling you to orbit her perceived value. The most insidious aspect of this initial phase is the covert testing of boundaries. Small, seemingly innocuous transgressions, a slight disrespect of your time, a casual disregard for a stated preference. Each instance is a probe, an assessment of your tolerance, a measure of how much control you are willing to cede without resistance. Fail to establish unwavering boundaries early, and you signal an open invitation for deeper, more pervasive psychological incursions. Each unchallenged boundary becomes a foundational brick in a fortress of her command over your emotional landscape. This subtle erosion of your personal sovereignty leaves you gradually acclimated to a diminished state, a slow burn that culminates in a complete surrender of your power without ever realizing the exact moment it was lost. The objective is not overt conflict, but a seamless integration of her desires into your default operating system. Once the initial conditioning is complete, the deep game begins, a sophisticated dance of reality distortion and systematic emotional leverage that redefines your entire perception. The most devastating of these techniques is the strategic withholding. This is not simple unavailability. It is the deliberate, calculated withdrawal of affection, attention, or validation precisely when you seek it most. You are thrown into a state of acute uncertainty, forced to question your worth, to dissect your every action, desperately seeking the elusive key to restore the desired connection. This creates a powerful addiction cycle, the initial rush of positive reinforcement followed by a sudden, punishing scarcity, training you to chase, to perform, to conform. You become an unwitting participant in a psychological experiment, constantly striving to re-earn what was once freely given. Complementing this is the insidious power of gaslighting. Your memories, your perceptions, your very sense of sanity are systematically undermined. That never happened. You're overreacting. You're imagining things. These phrases, delivered with unwavering conviction, erode your trust in your own reality, leaving you dependent on her interpretation of events. This complete destruction of your internal compass makes you profoundly susceptible, vulnerable to any narrative she constructs, because your own ability to discern truth has been systematically obliterated. You begin to doubt your own sanity, making you far easier to control, to direct, to manipulate into serving her agenda. Then consider the weaponization of the silent treatment. This is not merely anger, it is an act of total emotional abandonment, designed to inflict maximum psychological pain and induce overwhelming guilt. You are left in a void, desperate for communication, for resolution, willing to concede anything to break the unbearable silence. This tactic exploits your fundamental human need for connection, turning it into a tool for absolute control, making you believe that your perceived offense is so grave, your very existence has been rendered unacceptable. The duration and intensity are precisely calibrated to break your spirit, compelling you to apologize even when you are uncertain of your transgressions, simply to restore the fragile peace. This is a masterclass in passive-aggressive domination, where your own desperate need for resolution becomes the leverage she wields with devastating precision. The ultimate power play unfolds when these tactics coalesce into a comprehensive, inescapable psychological architecture. The smokescreen of manufactured drama is a crucial component. When confronted, or when her true intentions risk exposure, a sudden explosive crisis, often unrelated to the actual issue, is initiated. This diverts your attention completely, forces you onto the defensive, compelling you to address her manufactured emergency rather than the real problem at hand. This continuous cycle of distraction ensures that genuine issues are never resolved, keeping you in a state of perpetual reaction, incapable of confronting the underlying manipulations. You are constantly fighting fires she started, preventing you from ever seeing the blueprints of her true design. Then there's future faking, a potent, deceptive promise of an idealized future that never materializes. Grand declarations of commitment, elaborate plans for shared dreams, all articulated with captivating conviction, serve to bind you to the dynamic. These are not genuine intentions. They are powerful illusions, dangling carrots designed to keep you invested, to prevent you from disengaging when the present reality becomes unbearable. You are perpetually living for a tomorrow that is forever out of reach, convinced that your patience, your loyalty, your continued effort will eventually unlock the promised utopia. This prevents you from recognizing the cyclical nature of the manipulation, trapping you in an endless loop of unfulfilled expectations. The final, most devastating fact, the 199% will never truly grasp, is this. The goal is not merely control over your actions, but a complete assimilation of your identity into her narrative. These dark psychological forces aim to dismantle your core self, to rewrite your personal history, to redefine your values and aspirations so that they align perfectly with her desires. You cease to be an independent entity and become an extension of her will, your purpose reduced to serving her emotional and strategic needs. This process is so subtle, so gradual, that you awaken one day to find yourself completely unrecognizable, living a life that feels alien, driven by motivations that are no longer your own. The dynamic becomes a self-sustaining prison, a psychological cage where your own thoughts, emotions, and aspirations are meticulously controlled by an external force, and you no longer possess the internal resources to break free. The ultimate insight is that these patterns are not accidental. They are a deliberate, often subconscious, architecture of power designed to consume your very essence, to mold you into an echo of her desires. To reclaim your sovereignty, you must first recognize the pattern, then understand its destructive capacity. Your absolute imperative is to fortify your internal landscape against these incursions. You must subscribe now, for the wisdom shared here is a direct inoculation against future massive failures and the complete erosion of yourself. Protect your mind. What's the one truth that resonated most profoundly with your own experience?